The Physicians of Myddfai. This tale is a strange mix of myth, medicine and the mundane. The Physicians of Myddfai, or Meddygon Myddfai in Welsh, were a succession of local physicians who lived and practised in the Parish of Myddfai in Camarthenshire in Wales, according to local legends and folklore. Their story first appeared in the 13th century when Rhiwallon the physician and his sons were physicians to Rhys-Greg, Prince of Deheubarth, and the direct line of family physicians was said to have carried on until John Jones, who died as the last of his direct long line in 1739. Indirect relatives have kept the family tradition going right up until the last century. In the 1970s, two descendants were still recorded as being in the medical profession. John Powell was a general practitioner in Tenby, and Edward Hopkins was a surgeon major in the British Army. Many of the family's herbal remedies have been preserved courtesy of the Red Book of Hergest, which is a mix of prose and poetry. So, what exactly makes this family of physicians so skilled and has them in the folklore section rather than the history section? Well, they all descended from and learned their remedies from their fairy ancestor. Are you sitting comfortably? Then I'll begin. The tale of the Physicians of Myddfai. Sometime in the 12th or 13th century, a local farmer saw a beautiful woman by the remote and allegedly bottomless Llynfanfach lake in the Brecon Beacons, which is a very beautiful part of the world and not far from where my grandparents lived. The farmer fell immediately and head over heels in love. Now, let's be honest here, the farmer should have known something was up. Wales is chock full of legends of the beautiful lake-dwelling Gaerfyrddin, or fairy women of the underworld, but no, love makes us both blind and oblivious. The farmer offered to share his lunch of bread with her, but the woman shook her head and dived back into the lake, saying, "Hard-baked is thy bread, 'tis not easy to catch me." The farmer went home and told his mother what had happened. Seeing how desperate the farmer was to take the fairy woman as his wife, the next day his mother sent him off with some unbaked bread to offer the woman. But this time the woman said, "Unbaked is thy bread, I will not have thee." The next day the farmer's mother sent him off into the fields with bread that was only slightly baked, in the hope that this would suit the fairy woman. It did, and as the farmer professed his love, she agreed to marry him and live with him on one condition: that they would live together only until she received 3 blows from him without cause. The couple set up home at Gaerfyrddin farm near Myddfai. As a dowry she brought with her plenty of fairy beasts from her lake home, including cattle which gave abundant supplies of tasty milk and butter, and so the two prospered at first and were blessed with several children. Until one day the farmer accidentally passed his wife her gloves a little too forcefully, and that was the first blow. Then during a wedding in the local church the fairy wife began to cry, so the farmer tapped his wife on the shoulder to stop her. That was the second blow. Later still, during a funeral, the fairy woman began to laugh, and the farmer placed his hand on her arm to stop her. That was the third and final blow. With tears in her eyes, the fairy woman told her husband, "You've now struck me 3 times. Our marriage contract is ended. Fare thee well." Leaving her husband, she returned with her original fairy animals, but not their offspring born after she'd left the lake, to Llynfanfach for evermore. However, the fairy woman did not abandon her children and would spend time with them as they sat on the shores of her magical lake. Sometimes their mother would even accompany them as far as Lydia de Meddygon, the physician's gate, and Panta Meddygon, Della the physician's, teaching them the values and healing properties of various herbs and plants that were known to her fairy family. Her eldest son, Rhiwallon, had a real gift for medicine, and his mother saw that he and his descendants would become great physicians. Indeed they did, according to legend, and they were known as the Physicians of Myddfai, who became famous all over Wales and beyond. Remember the descendants of the lake woman's fairy cattle? Well, their descendants can still be seen today around Dinnefell Park, Llandilo. Like many other fairy creatures, they have white coats and red ears. And here's the interesting thing: these fairy cows are not related genetically to the other breeds of cattle that are kept in the UK, nor are they related to the white cattle of Italy. Modern geneticists have actually checked, so where they did come from originally is indeed a mystery. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.